Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvin. All right, we're continuing this conversation around building a business. And guys, of course, listen in. But today I'm talking to the queens, to the mommy millionaires. Yes, my dear friend, Cayla Kraft is on the podcast today. And we're going to be talking all about what it takes to step into that next level. I call her the high ticket queen. She's great at helping people stop selling themselves out for less than they are worth. And so we're going to talk about how to sell high ticket, the ups and downs of her business. And I just wanted to have you get a seat at the table. This amazing conversation with my dear friend, Cayla. So here we go. Yeah, good to see you. Thank you for being on the Epic Success Podcast. So excited you're here.
Oh, I feel special that I'm on the Epic Success. I'm like, okay, does that mean I'm an epic success? I made it.
You are. All right. So we've been talking over the last few weeks in the podcast, kind of, I don't know about you, but when I was getting started, all I wanted to do was to be a fly on the wall in like masterminds or somewhere where the people were hanging out where I wanted to be. And just hear like, what have they experienced? How do they think differently than I do? And so that's part of what I'm loving bringing to the table right now is like, just grab a seat at the table and we'll talk about the journey. And here, my challenge to my listeners was like, yes, listen to what they're talking about in their strategy, but also listen to like what they're thinking. Like how they're approaching things, like how are they thinking differently than you? So that's my challenge to my listeners. But I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what got you into being a coach. And for those who don't know her, the Mommy Millionaire is her brand. I just freaking love her. And I love everything that she stands for. I know she really loves coaching moms to step into that version of who they were always called to be and to really be mommy millionaires. And so what got you into coaching? I know your story, but my listeners don't. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of it.
So I was 23 years old working as an ER nurse. Yeah. And when I dissect that whole process, it was I got into that because I loved helping people. Yeah. And I really wanted to create a lasting change. And then as an ER nurse, I would go home every night and I would cry myself to sleep because I felt like, first of all, I'm going to get sued. That was like my biggest fear. And then the second thing that would make me cry is the fact that I didn't feel like fulfilled because am I really helping these people? Is it like I would see the same people come in over and over again to the ER. And it would just we call them frequent flyers. Oh, geez. That's, so I was starting to become jaded and I'm like, this is not who I am. Like, that's not my heart. And I got into direct sales when I was 23 and started doing health coaching. And after about a year, I was like, I really like the majority of my time and the most of my clients are having success when I take them through my method of getting healthy. And so that's when I first realized there's a process to everything and I can create my own process. And I went to IIN, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and got my health coaching through them. And then I was like, okay, this is awesome. I went to the John Maxwell leadership and became a coach through him. And so I was just obsessed with studying the process of change and how to create lasting change for people. And so I've been doing it for almost 11 years now, taking people through different processes to get the results that they want in their life. Nobody ever came up to me and said, okay, now is the time to start this big coaching brand and talk about money. I just decided that was what excited me the most. Out of everything I could coach about, making money and helping women control their earning power was the thing that lit me up. Yeah. And so I went all in on that about 4.5 years ago. And here we are today. We've impacted, I think, over 50,000 lives just through all of our coaching programs. And I know it's when I think about the numbers, I'm like, that's a lot, but my goal is millions of people making millions of dollars. So I'm like, okay, we've made a small dent in that goal. And I'm really just excited to bring more of that, to the world, internationally. Yeah. And I think coaching is a calling. I think a lot of people like, they do it because of the money. It's like, oh, I could own my time and I could do this, but it's like, if I have not coached somebody today, like I am not happy when I go to bed at night. Like it's part of who I am.
Yeah. It's a calling. I love that. I just did a post that said that the coaching is a calling.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So here's what I want my listeners to hear. Like when you were an ER nurse and you had the frequent flyers coming in, did you already know that you wanted to coach women on how to make money?
Absolutely not.
Right?
No.
I love that you're like, you were in the step you were in, and then you were in the next step you were in, and then you got the next vision, and then you're in the next step you were in. I think that's a broken thing that's unfortunately too many marketing gurus have kind of indoctrinated people into. Like, you should know your niche from the moment you wake up in the morning until you're at 8 figures. And it's just not true. Like,
no.
Our coaching certification around the neuro coaching model didn't exist 5 years ago. It didn't exist until like, I knew like, it can't just be inside me. This is how the brain creates transformation. It can't just stay with me. Like because it's bigger than me. Yeah. I need the rock in the ocean or the rock in the pond kind of effect where other people can learn it, work through it, coach through it, and go. So you made a shift, and I really love this. And I want people to hear this. I know in the beginning you were doing some lower ticket, $27, $67 type of coaching.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I just made a post about this. This is what you're talking about.
I saw it. I was like, oh yeah.
This actually didn't happen in the beginning.
Okay.
So what happened was, I don't know if anybody listening in right now has ever, I didn't want to say fallen victim to it, but we find ourselves in that situation where maybe we're making some money.
Yeah.
And we think more money thrown at something is going to make more money.
Yeah.
And because I always say, it takes money to make money. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind. And I had a mentor who I still love and respect, but he said, Cayla, you need to hire these marketing guys. They're going to take Mommy Millionaire from, at that point it was, making $1 million already on my own. Okay. With no ads, nothing. And he was like, hire them. They're going to make it into I want an 8-figure brand. And I was like, done. Where do I sign? Like, I literally didn't ask questions because I really loved this person so much. I'm like, I'll listen to him. And I think it was like $25,000 or something for 3 months. They are the ones that said, you need to have a membership. Okay. So you've got to have a membership to really become an international brand and help all the people. And I said, I don't really know. Like, a membership has never, I always had been into luxury. Had been doing high ticket since day one, actually. Yeah. My first program was $7,000. Yeah. And I got, I think 9 people to buy that first program, having no experience, doing high ticket, anything. And so, I said, okay, I'm going to trust. I'm going to play along with this process. Right. So I launched a membership. This is red flag. First of all, number one is I went against my intuition and listened to some guys, which if anybody's listening in right now, always listen to your intuition. Always. For me, that's the Holy Spirit in me, saying, hey, be a good steward of this money that you have been given. And, so that was the red flag number one. I didn't want to start the membership. And then what happened was we started the membership. It went great. I mean, we had hundreds of people enrolled right away. Yeah. And then people said, well, I saw people cancel. And they said, well, Ray Higdon, he's also in the network marketing and field. Well, he goes live every single day in his membership. So I'm canceling to go to his. And I go, oh, okay, you guys, I'm going live 3 times a week. Nobody's going to cancel because somebody else is doing more. This was like a winner in me. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, And so then, I started going people were paying $37 a month at this point. And I was doing coaching 3 times a week. I mean, whoa, for a whole, another year and a half after this. Wow. Okay. I made this go on and on. And then I realized dude, this is not what I want. This is never what I wanted. Yes, I want to impact people, but the same people were showing up on these live coaching. It wasn't we were getting new people, but it was the same 20 people that would hop on these live coachings.
Right.
And so anyways, I canceled it, shut it down completely. That was almost a 7-figure brand or income stream just in that society.
Wow.
And I just shut it down because I was like, it's not about the money for me. Like, yes, I love money, but I can't do something that's like making my soul just die slowly.
Yeah. And so many times you'll just hear people say, that's the thing, that's the strategy.
Yes.
And we doubt this like voice, the Holy Spirit within us that's saying like, you've made your plans and he's directing your steps. And you get that. I love that you got that, like that check. And I've done it too, where I've gotten the check and I haven't listened and it never is in alignment with where we're going. So here's the thing I love about Cayla. She talks about money. Money doesn't trip her up. She helps women get past like money issues. No, it does not say in scripture, money is the root of all evil. So like, please, to me, it's just a tool and it doesn't belong to me anyway. So I just get to use it. High ticket scares so many people. Now, a lot of my listeners are coaches because they've been certified or whatever through us. So talk about the difference when you are doing, so you've been doing it since the beginning, when you're in doing high ticket sales.
Yeah.
The difference in the person that shows up for that.
Oh, I mean, it's astronomical, the difference.
Yeah.
So when somebody think about, I'm in a lot of memberships. I'm not anti-membership, but I'm in them and I don't necessarily show up. I mean, I think I'm in like 5 or 6 and I don't ever check them because easily $25 can be taken out of my bank account and I'm not even going to flinch. Right. Yeah. And even most people, $25 is a lunch, to them. So there's not any like sting and the sacrifice there. So when you have people pay something that is a great amount, they will pay attention. But if it's something that they're already used to doing, right? Like, oh, I'm used to spending $25 on a lunch. I'm used to, this. Yeah. They can live without that membership. And so high ticket really offers people the opportunity to step in and meet their future self.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they have to start making decisions based on who they want to be. And it also helps them like show up for themselves and show up for that big dream that they have. Yeah. I was just I'm thinking about doing something else and it's like a add-on to Mommy Millionaire. And one of the coaches I was talking to, it's $30,000, to do his program and all the things. And I'm like, I'm only going to do it if I'm actually going to do it. Like,
all the way.
Right. Yeah. Like he was like, well, you can buy your membership, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy the membership. And I can kind of like be interested in what you have to say. But if I go and buy that $30,000 program, you better believe like I'm showing up to every single call, like notes ready to be taken. Yeah. And I'm making it happen. And so that's what you're offering people is like, you're saying, are you ready to cross that line? A lot of us, we tiptoe, we go 1 foot around success and the 1 foot back over here to self-sabotage. When you do the high ticket offerings, they have to cross the line and there is no option but success because they've just invested, X, Y, and Z, which might've been their life savings.
Yeah. Yeah. So how have you helped? I'd love for you to give like a tip or two of the mindset shift that needs to happen. So where I see people do that, like love that you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. To me, it's like they're on a seesaw. Like there's a side of them that doesn't, they equate their value with what they want to charge. And then this doesn't equal this. So therefore they come back down to a lower price. Yeah. So I'd love for you to talk about like just how you've helped people see that differently than how they currently do.
So I work with most coaches too, right? Yeah. And I always say like coaching has endless ROI. Like my first coach that I hired was $30,000 for an entire year. This was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I still talk about him, Matthew Ferry, love him. And like, I'm still using the things he taught me all those years ago. And I don't see ever not using some of the tools and concepts that he talks about. Yeah. Would I now looking back, I would have paid millions of dollars for that because it's made me millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's what you're providing. If you're actually a good coach, Okay. Then you should believe enough to know that like your stuff is endless. Like that ROI is endless. And you've got to have that belief. Okay. First of all, so you've got to have that belief. And then second of all, here's the thing. It's not about you. It's about that person and what is going to stretch them and help them show up for this new version and this new dream that they have. Okay. So it really depends on like who you're talking to. So, now I work with people that already have 7-figure businesses that want to go to 8. And, one of the girls, like if I would have charged her, let's just say $20,000 for her to work with me, she probably would have not showed up to the calls because to her, $20,000, she makes it in a day.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I can easily recuperate that. For her, it had to be a multiple 6-figure investment for her to actually show up and do this. And
I want you to hear that. I really want that to like drop for somebody. Cayla could have offered a $20,000. She wouldn't have, but she could have offered it at $20K. But she knew her client and the level in which she operates needed to be at a multi 6-figure investment for her to pay attention.
Yeah. And also like, I don't equate my worth with a dollar amount. Like my worth is priceless. Like the stuff that I bring is like, you can't even put a penny on it. Like you can't put millions on it. And you have to have that type of posture of just like knowing like I'm a powerful coach, not only for the processes and methods that I teach my client, but also for just who I'm being. Yeah. And at this stage in my life and all the experience, all the money I've invested into myself, what does that look like for me to get energetically excited about showing up for this person in this container? And so I think that's drastically changed for me in 2018. I was charging for 6 months of coaching, $12,000 in 2018. Wow. And then by 2020, I was charging 6 figures. And it wasn't like anybody just walked up to me one day and said, this is the time for you. Yeah. I finally invested in a coach that was 6 figures. And I was like, dude, if she can do this, well, I'm doing it. Hello. And it was just, I kind of needed that like mirror for me in my life to start showing up in that way. And you better believe I get excited every time I get on the calls with my clients. Yeah, I just do. I mean, I'm like, when they Marco Polo me, when I get an email from them, like my team's excited to serve them too, because like at that price, like we don't feel like we're being taken advantage of. Like we feel like it's a give relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I love that that the value it has, it's easy to hear like a great Instagram quote that says, it's not about you, it's about service. It's a whole nother thing to like click into who you are as a coach, elevating your client.
Yeah.
And allowing that to go. Talk about a time that you were maybe even in between that, like, because that's not a long period of time that you went from 12 to multi-6. So what were some of the hurdles that you had to get past to get to that posture?
Well, I think it's being with a client that, like I legit help people make multi-million-dollar businesses. Yeah. And so I remember the last time I offered something at 12K, she went on to make an extra $1 million income stream in 9 months with my help. And I go, oh my God, I remember going, I should have charged more. That cost me a lot of time. And I was happy obviously I was still happy for her and all the things, but my team was like, yes, we've been saying that, Cayla, like you don't charge enough, seriously. And so it was like that, okay, if I don't raise my prices right now, like I'm just going to become bitter. And that's never a good place to be as a coach. That's not helpful or anything. And it was that like realization that is what I do, is I actually do create $1 million income streams for people. And so when I stand in that power, I'm going to attract the people that are ready to play at an even bigger level. And then the other thing that happened was the whole membership fiasco, right? And I was going like, I love everybody, but these are not the people that I'm going to go deep with and have the ripple effect that I want to have in the world at this playing field. Like my team was having to chase down the collections for $37 a month. I'm like, if we just used all of your guys' genius and power to help our one-on-one clients, boom, that's what we're going to do. And so it was kind of like the failure of that. And then the realization that I needed to be energetically like paid more because I was really changing people's lives. Yeah.
What do you see right now? Because you and I both tend to have mostly women coaching with us. What do you see? Where do you see women playing smaller than you know that they're called to be?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of places that they're playing small. I think as moms, we tend to get really comfortable using our kids as an excuse. Yeah. And that would be an example of playing small because, if you fight for your excuses, you get to keep them. Yeah. And as moms, it's the time. Like, I don't have time because, Joey has soccer practice at 4 and then they have this at 5 and 6. And it's like, well, what about the other like 5 hours when they're like in school and you have, all this time? So I think that's like where they play small is they can stay there and not stretch themselves to become this woman that they know they're meant to be. Because they're going to have to change to become that person, right? Like they don't get to have that life and keep all this other stuff, keep their thoughts, keep the gossip, keep the stuff that makes them stay small and stay stuck. So I think that's really it, is they use their kids as an excuse instead of their why. And like finding, powerful ways to just be inspired by the fact that their kids have a lot going on, and I know that's for me right now. I'm so inspired. Yeah. I'm in it. And I look for more ways to outsource more things. Yeah. So I tell like moms, write down everything that you're doing on a daily basis and highlight everything that you are the only person that can do this. So you are absolutely the only person that can do this. And then when you look at that list, it's usually like, it's not that much, right? You're like, oh, shoot. Time audits. Right. Yeah. And so I teach people outsource. Like I haven't done my laundry in 9 years. That was one of the first things I gave up. Am I a bad mom because I don't fold my kids' underwear and organize them? No, No, but people think of it like this badge of honor, but I have to be the one. Like my kids need to see me doing laundry. I'm like, what? No, like I don't remember my mom doing laundry and I still think she's an amazing human and a hard worker, So, yeah.
Cayla, thank you for being real in that conversation right there, because I think as my kids are getting older, like mine are 11 and 14 now, all the eye rolls, all the, you don't know what's going on, mom things. And it's a whole nother level of pride and humility. But here's the thing. I've talked and I've told them the things, what they remember, what they see me doing.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, when I think about my kids' lives, because that's our job, right? As parents it's all stages, right? Early on, lots of dependence, and then it moves. But our jobs are to launch them. And for our family, it is strong Christian people in the world that are making a difference and giving back. That's big, big for us. And I want them to know they can do anything they put their mind to. I want them to know things can be hard and you can do hard things. I want them to know that, yes, if you want to go get a college degree and that's what you're called to do, do it. But if you want to start the business that you've been already talking about at 11 years old, do that too. Right. And because they're watching, I don't hide the struggle. I don't hide when things don't go right. I let them see it all. And at the end of the day, my 14-year-old the other day was like, yeah, I definitely want to go to college for a little bit, but I want to make sure I have 3, at least 6-figure income streams going into that. And I'm like,
I love it.
You're 14. And I'm like, and he has that kind of mind, and he didn't, none of that was spoken. I mean, did we say multiple incomes? Yeah, but he's watched me say, no, I need to stay invested in this until it creates a return, right? And so he's watching. And I think I want to say that because I think you're right. Moms, we have families judging us. We have history judging us. We have somebody some aunt that thinks like, who are you? Outsource your laundry. I haven't done laundry for ages either. I mean, it's like, look at the biggest time sucks in your world. And that is one of them. And like, it's so easy to outsource that. But just like, imagine your kiddos seeing and then emulating, because they don't do what we say.
Yeah.
They do what we do. So thank you for being real on that. All right. I want to ask this question. If for some reason you had to start all over again without any of your connections, like think Undercover Billionaire, right?
Oh my gosh, I want to go on that show.
Okay, yeah. So, and there's a new one that's like Business Boot Camp, the guy who started Spartan Races. Have you seen this?
Oh my gosh.
You got to Google it. It's called Business Boot Camp. It's really good. Sorry, digress. So if you had to start all over again and the bank account wasn't there and the connections weren't there and the relationships weren't there, what would you like? How would you start? What would you do? This is something I'm asking the queens that come on here.
I have a question. Do we get to have the knowledge that we have?
You have the knowledge, but you don't, but not the connections.
Not the connections.
And the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is really fun. What would I do? I think like if I have the knowledge now, I know the people who share the information make the most money, and people in real estate too. And that's the way to multiply. And so I would go and find just the biggest real estate investor in my town and start saying, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I can teach you anything about marketing, money, sales, and I'll do it for you for free, basically, just to get in his wings. Yeah. And that's what I would start doing. And then I would start a social media account and start sharing the knowledge that I already have and start serving people, and boom. So that's what I would do, and start taking paying clients right away to get the information that I have in this vault up here.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, because it's our transformation that creates transformation. And so you don't ever lose that. And I love that you talked about your very first mentor, and that you're still like how that continues to create an ROI and how you would immediately serve. Do you feel like there's a connection? There's the law of sowing and reaping, right? There's a connection that when you give it, it comes back to you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that it's a biblical command that like, hey, if you've been given, it's that parable of the talents, if you've been given this, don't keep it inside. You've got to go out and you've got to teach it. You've got to multiply it. I just think, the greatest leaders are the greatest teachers. Yeah.
All right. What's something you're super excited about that you see behind your eyes that's coming in the future?
I mean, I'm really excited about real estate right now.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I'm like eating and sleeping right now is dream, I can't get enough information about real estate, talking to the right people and learning more about that. And I get excited about it. Yeah. And what is coming with that? We'll have to stay tuned for Mommy Millionaire. And I just think that we're called to expand. And so I'm always like learning invigorates ourselves. And so I'm just obsessed with learning new knowledge, but also learning people. And I just want to learn more and more about why are people doing the things that they're doing right now in this day and age. The pandemic affected everybody in really all unique ways. Like everybody responded differently. And I think people's buying behaviors have changed. And I'm just trying to watch people and learn and see what's working and try to serve people in a bigger way. But I think that a lot of people think, okay, because of inflation and because of all this, we need to be charging less. And I want to encourage people offer people an invitation to go outside of their comfort zone with your offer and have it be something that stretches them to go to new heights, because there's more millionaires and billionaires that are created during a recession than any other time. And so that's like the opportunity as coaches we get is to help be a part of that boom. And we know like the most powerful thing you own is your perspective. And that's what coaches do is we help people change their perspective on what's possible. And so it's never been a greater time to build your coaching business and to offer people a luxurious way to be coached and to step into their greatness.
Okay. I've got like massive goosies from head to toe. So we'll wrap on that. Amazing. Thank you for sharing who you are to the world. Thank you for being on the podcast. And where can everybody find you, stalk you, get into your world?
Yay. Okay. So, I have the Mommy Millionaire podcast, and it's not just women that listen in. There's a lot of guys that listen too, but we talk about all things money, and I always bring God into it too. So very faith-based show. Then I would love to, if I can I give anybody like a free?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to.
Okay. So if you text me, and this is just for US people, but if you're international, you guys can just DM me on Instagram, but text me the word Bible to 661-491-7447. I'll actually share with you some of my favorite scriptures that I confess out loud every single day that help me just really gain that mindset of success. Also, like that mindset of prosperity. So I'd love to share that with anybody that wants it.
That's so generous. I appreciate that so much. So we'll drop all that in the show notes. And Cayla, I love you to pieces. Thanks for being amazing. And thanks for being on the podcast.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me on. It was so fun.
All right. That was amazing. Cayla, thanks for being on. All of the links are down in the show notes. And until we get together again next week, where we'll have another interview with an amazing queen doing amazing things, creating lasting change in this world. What about you? What is the thing that you're going to create because of this? If this podcast episode blessed you, please let me know on socials, tag me so I can share it. And I will see you on the next episode of the Epic Success Podcast. Bye for now.